The Lord Mayor of Dublin, Alison Gilliland, is with us on the programme. Well, Alison, do you agree with Owen Keegan's comments?
There's a certain point there, Andrea, that it is not ideal that people feel that their only option is to sleep in a tent on our street. And there was a lady there in your Vox Pop that indicated that many of our homeless people feel that the accommodation we are providing as Dublin City Council providing emergency accommodation is unsafe in their minds. And we know that there are homeless people who do feel like that. And that ball is very much in our court with regard to reaching out to homeless people, building relationships with them, and that does take time, particularly where it's a trust relationship. If they feel they're better and they're safer in a tent, we have to do better to convince them and persuade them that we can provide them with safe homeless emergency accommodation. So it's not ideal that they're in tents, but in order to help them move from being in that situation, we have to do better in our outreach programme.
So is Owen Keegan right then, Alison? That they should be removed?
It's very nuanced. It's not that they should be removed, and we're not going to come along and remove people out of tents. What we're trying to do with our outreach teams is to connect with those people who are living in tents and who do have, a lot of them have very complex needs. They are very visible to people and they see the need on the street. We've engaged people who have mental health and addiction expertise in our outreach teams with a view to building up those relationships with the people who feel that they have to live in tents or who have to rough sleep. And our aim is to engage with them, build a relationship, build trust, and allow them to come with us into the accommodation that we are providing. The other thing we're doing is we're very much moving to own room, single room accommodation. And we had a great learning from COVID where when we went into lockdown in March 2019, we provided single room accommodation. A lot of it was in hotels because that's what we could requisition at the time. And those people who had that room with their own door where they could leave their personal belongings and their personal belongings would be safe, where they would be not in the presence perhaps of other people who might be misusing substances. And I'm by no means saying that everyone who is homeless is influenced by substance misuse, but we learned from that and we saw the mental health impact, the positive mental health impact that own room accommodation has, and that's one of the changes we are making within our homeless
And is that possible to do that? Is it possible to look at every single, homeless accommodation that's out there at the moment, or certainly that Dublin City Council provide monies to, and to create those kind of safe single spaces that you're talking about? Is that doable?
It is doable over the long term. It's not doable overnight because while at the moment we do have beds available, once the colder weather hits, we tend to get more homeless people needing and coming in for emergency accommodation. So it's trying to balance up shifting away from shared accommodation where it might be 2 or 3, and we're still conscious of COVID, to that single room, and also to a system where it's person-centred.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you as well, Alison, just about one of the points too that the city manager, Owen Keegan, made yesterday. Look, leaving the tents aside for one moment, do you agree with him that it adds to the perception that the city centre isn't safe? Do you agree with that?
For some people, there is no issue from a safety perspective of seeing tents in the street. They realise that there's people sleeping in them, there's people homeless, and as I said, homeless is very complex. For others, they may feel unsafe because it adds to the perception of the city not being safe.